Hi, this is Dan Whitney with the Whitney Law Firm in Towson, Maryland. Today I'm going to talk about a mistaken eviction case that settled for $275,000 that was filed in Baltimore City. So, first of all, what is a mistaken eviction case? Could an eviction actually happen by mistake? Surprisingly, the answer is yes, and even more surprisingly, it happens more than you might think. I have handled multiple of these cases, and what it shakes out to is basically this. Let's say I don't pay my bills, let's say you do. The landlord obtains a warrant of restitution from the court, which allows them to evict me for not paying my rent. I come home from work after the eviction, but all my stuff is there. However, you, who lives in the other apartment, all your stuff is gone. How did this happen? The landlord and the company that removes all the property were negligent in evicting the correct apartment. It sounds crazy, but it happened. So in other words, they evict the wrong apartment. Now, you think to yourself, how could this possibly happen? Usually what happens is a landlord has a checklist, there's documentation. Okay, this is the legal document that allows us to evict somebody. It says apartment A1 on it. Very often, at least around here in Maryland, management companies and landlords hire a third party to come to the property and perform the eviction, take all the stuff out, throw it in a truck, and then they, probably steal the good stuff, keep the other stuff, sell some of it, and throw the rest in the dumpster. Now, what happens is that company who comes to evict the stuff should also say, hey, before I go in apartment A1, show me the legal document that says I can actually do this. Because if you don't have that legal document and I go in there illegally, I'm going to have a lot of liability and I'm going to have problems. And really, it's going to be your fault and maybe some of mine because I was not paying close enough attention. However, that step seems to get skipped a pretty fair amount and really always in these illegal eviction cases. So really what you have is a combination of the negligence of the landlord who provides the false information or the wrong information to the company that performs the eviction and removes the property. They're negligent. They don't say, hey, let's double check. And then it happens, and then the illegal eviction occurs, and the tenant only finds out when they come home after school or after work or at the end of the day, and all their stuff, all their property in the world is gone. So what happened in this particular case? So my client was paying their rent in full. They went to work one day. They returned home at the end of the day, and their property, all their personal property, was completely gone. There were the regular items, furniture, food in the kitchen, stuff in the bedroom, clothes in the closets, clothes in the dressers, computers, memorabilia, sentimental items, family heirlooms, everything. So look around wherever you live and picture coming home and it all being gone, because that's what the client was dealing with. So as what usually happens, the tenant goes to the landlord and says, hey, all my stuff is gone, what happened? And in this instance, it eventually came out, in other words, we made a mistake and we're sorry. Well, that doesn't cut it. So the landlord was not being very helpful as far as making up for this. And really, how do you make up for this? The only real way to do it is money, because all the property is usually gone, but not always. That'll be another video. And she searched online for an illegal eviction attorney in Maryland, found us, and we took the case. So we filed suit, and first what you have to do is figure out, well, who do we sue? Well, certainly the landlord, the managing entity. You can also sue the owner of the property because they are responsible for the actions of the landlord. And then we also want to invite to the dance the company that illegally entered the apartment, took all the property, and either threw it away, stole it, kept it, whatever. Anyway, it's gone. So generally you sue those three entities. And also the benefit of that is usually they will all have insurance, but if not, more pockets are always better than less pockets when it comes to litigation and getting compensation out of everybody who's at the table. So what has to happen is you have to address the damages. What are the damages? First, most obviously, is you come home, all your property's gone. Well, all that now needs to be replaced. What is the cost, the replacement value of your property? And insurance companies usually like to say, well, your property depreciated and it was years old, so you should only get 60%. No, you need to get the replacement value. What would it cost today to replace the toaster, the air fryer, your furniture, your couch, your computers, your clothes, everything? You've got that as an element of damages. Number two, the emotional distress. The emotional distress from coming home to an apartment that's completely empty is tremendous. And it doesn't just stop that day. Think about it in the future when let's say you want to show pictures to your future children. This is what mommy looked like when she was young. This is when mommy and daddy met. This is when I graduated college. This is when we took a trip, to Europe, or whatever it is. All that is now gone. And the sentimental value of all that has to be accounted for too, in addition to the shock of dealing with all your stuff being gone. Also, there's a statute in Maryland. It allows you to recover attorney's fees for an illegal eviction, so you can get your attorney's fees added into this. And also, potentially, there could be punitive exposure, although not where just a mistake is made, but if there was some intent, then some punitive exposure can come into play, although that did not come into play here. So here the client had quite a bit of property that had been discarded. She had a very large amount of property loss. And we filed the lawsuit, got some written discovery answers, which, yes, the landlord admitted we made a mistake. They gave their reason for the mistake. Usually in these cases it's, well, so-and-so didn't double check that this was the correct apartment. They gave the wrong key. They gave the wrong apartment number to the company that removed all the property. I mean, putting aside how could you not double and triple check when you're throwing essentially all of their personal property, all their worldly belongings? How could you not double and triple check to make sure you're doing it right? Putting that aside, not even putting it aside, it's just crazy that they don't do that. But this actually happens a lot. What I've found is very often property managers and some of the people that work at these apartments in Maryland do not seem to care at all about the tenants. That's not a news story. That's been going on for quite a while in many types of cases and at properties around the U.S. and the world, I would think. But basically, it's a lack of care, a lack of diligence, a lack of following procedures is how these things happen. So our client, after we filed suit, we did some discovery. We brought all the required or all the proper parties to the table. We were able to negotiate it out and recover a settlement of $275,000, which made the client whole for her property loss and significant compensation on top for the distress of the situation. Now, of course, past results do not guarantee future outcomes. All cases, all facts are different, and anybody's particular case is not to be measured against this one. But you should know that if this does happen to you, don't let the landlord say to you, "Oh, we're so sorry, let me give you a couple months free rent. Let me give you a couple $1,000s. These cases can be worth significantly more, and you should not allow yourself to be shortchanged. If God forbid this does happen to you, you should seek experienced counsel who will be able to maximize your case and get you compensation that is more befitting the tragedy that has befallen you. So if this should have occurred to you in Maryland, please feel free to call my office, the Whitney Law Firm in Towson, Maryland. Thanks for watching. Take care.